An original, peaceful retelling by Nivi. Dear friend, welcome to Peaceful Reading with Nivi, where timeless stories are shared in a calm and peaceful way. Today's story is about a young shepherd, a quiet hillside, and a lesson that would follow him for the rest of his life. This is an original retelling of the traditional Aesop's fable, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let us begin. The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Long ago, in a village surrounded by green hills, there lived a young shepherd boy. Every morning, the boy led his family sheep from the village to a wide meadow high above the houses. The meadow was beautiful. Wildflowers grew between the rocks. Butterflies danced in the warm sunshine, and a gentle breeze moved through the tall grass. The sheep spent their days peacefully grazing while the boy watched over them. At first, he enjoyed his work. He liked being outdoors. He liked watching the clouds drift across the sky. And he especially liked the feeling of being trusted with something important. But after many days of doing the same thing, the quiet afternoons began to feel very long. There was no one to talk to, no one to play with, and sometimes there seemed to be nothing to do except watch the sheep eat grass. One afternoon, the boy sat beneath a tree and sighed. "I wish something exciting would happen," he said. Then an idea came to him, a mischievous idea. The boy jumped to his feet and ran toward the edge of the hill. He looked down at the village below and cupped his hands around his mouth. "Wolf!" he shouted. "A wolf is chasing the sheep!" The villagers heard him. They dropped what they were doing. A baker left his bread. A farmer put down his tools. Several villagers grabbed sticks and hurried up the hill as quickly as they could. When they reached the meadow, they looked around. There was no wolf. The sheep were perfectly safe. The boy burst into laughter. "You should see your faces," he said. The villagers were not amused. One of them looked at the boy seriously. "Do not call for help when you do not need it," he warned. "If there is ever a real danger, we need to know that we can trust your warning." The boy nodded. Yes, yes, I understand." The villagers returned to the village. The boy went back to watching the sheep. For a little while, everything was quiet again. But the boy soon became bored. And the thought of everyone rushing up the hill made him smile. A few days later, he decided to do it again. He ran towards the village. "Wolf!" he cried. "Help! There's a wolf!" Once again, the villagers hurried up the hill. They came running from their homes, fields, and workshops. But when they arrived, there was no wolf. The boy laughed even louder than before. "You came again!" This time the villagers were angry. "You have fooled us twice," one of them said. "If you keep doing this, people will stop believing you." The boy shrugged. Perhaps he thought they were taking the matter too seriously. The villagers walked back down the hill. The boy returned to his sheep. Days passed. The sun rose and set. The sheep continued to graze. Then one afternoon, something really did happen. The boy was sitting beneath his favorite tree when he heard a strange sound behind him. He turned around. Standing near the edge of the meadow was a large grey wolf. The boy froze. The wolf slowly moved toward the sheep. The sheep began to scatter. The boy's heart raced. This time there was no joke. This time he truly needed help. He ran toward the hill and shouted with all his strength, "Wolf! Please help! This really is a wolf!" But the villagers heard him, and they remembered the 2 times before. One villager shook his head. "He's trying to fool us again," said another. "We cannot leave our work every time he cries wolf." No one came. The boy shouted again, "Please, this time it's true." But the villagers did not believe him. The boy stood helplessly as the wolf frightened the sheep away. When evening came, the boy slowly led the remaining sheep back to the village. He was no longer laughing. He was no longer looking for excitement. He felt ashamed. When he reached the village, an old farmer approached him. The boy lowered his head. "I told the truth today," he said quietly. "I know," the farmer replied. "But you taught everyone not to believe you." The boy looked up. "Can I earn their trust again?" The farmer nodded. "You can, but trust is not rebuilt with one promise. It is rebuilt through many honest choices." The boy thought carefully about those words. From that day forward, he stopped pretending there was danger when there wasn't. He spoke honestly. He did his work carefully. And whenever he gave his word, he made sure to keep it. Slowly, the villagers began to trust him again. It took time, but the boy learned something he would never forget. When we repeatedly use the truth as a joke, people may not recognize it. When we truly need to be heard, and sometimes earning back trust takes much more than losing it. Dear friend, the lesson of this story is simple. Honesty builds trust. When people know that our words are truthful, they can depend on us. But when we repeatedly deceive others, even as a joke, they may stop believing us. Trust is precious. It can take a long time to build, but only a few careless choices to damage. So, whether you are young or old, remember, let your words be honest, your promises be meaningful, and your actions show others that they can trust you. Thank you for spending this peaceful time with me. Until our next story, take care of yourself, be kind to others, and remember that every story has something to teach. This is Nivi from Peaceful Reading with Nivi. Thank you for listening.